always into gangs in the streets. Thought that my identity was right there. Thought my joy was right there because half the time I was high, half the time I was drunk, chasing after girls, breaking girls' hearts. Didn't care. It didn't really matter to me. I just wanted to live up to the standards of the homies. And whatever, they were doing, whatever they had, I wanted it as well too. I wanted to, fit in with them because my household where I was living with my mom and dad, I grew up with 9 brothers and sisters. We didn't have much. My mom and dad weren't working. They were both on drugs, both doing meth. And this is like majority of my life as well too. And so there was nothing for me at home. I didn't have a happy home. I didn't grow up, the American way. I grew up as, like I said, seeing the homies and seeing all the cool things they had, and so I wanted that stuff. I wanted the fast money. I wanted the easy money. So that's the life I chose, and that's why I thought I had my joy and everything, because the things that I was getting for myself, it was bringing joy to me. It was, it was my happiness doing all that and thinking that that was my identity. So I didn't get to see that marriage couple in the household on how is the husband supposed to treat his wife, or how's the wife supposed to treat the husband. My dad, I mean, when he wanted to be a dad, he'll be a dad. But it wasn't like, hey son, let's go play catch. Hey son, let's go fishing. Then let's go for a drive. Or hey, I want to push you to do good in school. It was, I want to be a dad, but discipline you because I'm the dad, I'm the boss, and this is who I am. Because the majority of the time he was high. Majority of the time, him and my mom were doing meth, and when they didn't have their supply, of course they were angry, or half the time they'll be in bed. And so we had a lot of dark moments. At times too, I felt like I had to be the father figure to my little brothers and sisters at times, because they were in bed, they were hungry, so I had to kind of like, okay, well let's try to figure something out to eat, or let's do something. And so that's the reason why I didn't want to stay home majority of the time. So that's the reason why I kind of pushed myself to go to the streets and hang out with the homies, because they were basically like the father figure. They were basically the ones like, here's some money in your pocket, you're hungry, just go get some tacos, so it was rough, I wanted that from my dad. I wanted that from my mom as well too, but I didn't get it. So, it's just the streets, the homies, that's what caught my attention. I remember I had barely had my daughter Destiny, and I was looking for a job, and I remember you and Johnny were walking around passing out flyers, and I was upstairs, and my dad was outside watering the grass, and I guess you guys had told him, hey, if anybody needs a job, and he was like, oh, my son. So I remember him coming upstairs and saying, hey, these 2 guys were walking around giving out flyers saying if you needed a job. And right away I was like, okay, yeah, of course, I need a job. I got my daughter with me. I got my wife already had 2 kids, and so I needed to step up already. So I looked at my wife and she goes, well, what do you got to lose? Really, like, call them up. I remember calling Johnny up and getting that phone call, like, calling him up, and he answered the phone, and I just heard like dogs in the background, like Brady can hear him, and
he was getting chased by a dog.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh man, I just remember hearing like, hey, be there at Tuesday at this time and so. So I go, all right then. The first time walking into Hope Now, I wasn't really sure, for the fact that when I walked in, just seeing different gangs, seeing different guys from the streets, and my mentality at the time was, something was gonna happen, something was gonna pop off. Seeing rivals, I was like, this ain't gonna work. I was literally gonna go in there just to get a job, and that's it. And seeing, like I said, other gang members, really, my heart was just like, nah, this ain't gonna be for me. I remember going back home and telling my wife, and she was like, how was it? And I was like, yeah, it ain't gonna work out. She goes, what do you mean? I go, there's just different gangs in there. I go, I don't know how this thing is going. I go, but I don't think it's gonna happen. But there was something in me that just kept pushing me to go and go. And when I look back at it now, I knew that was Christ. Oh man, dude, I always bring those up, when we're hanging out with friends, how I used to hate when my wife used to call you and Johnny up. Oh man, I remember we would, because I was really a bad alcoholic. I was a heavy drinker. Even coming to the program, I was still had that mentality of, living the street life. like I said, heavy drinker. And I remember like we'll get into it, and then she'll take off to the room, and then next you know, like 5-10 minutes later, I hear knocking on the window or the door. I look out the window, I'm like, oh, here's Johnny and Paul again. Like, no, man.
Keep
like,
on hope now.
Yeah. And then I'm like, I always tell like, why are you calling these guys for? Like, you know, whatever they're gonna tell me, I'm not gonna take in. You know, but I'm glad. You know, I'm glad that there was guys like you know, that I seen Christ working through you guys to help me, push me to be the better man that I am right now. And I needed that. At the time I didn't, but like I said, I look back and I needed that push right there. I needed those brothers. I needed you guys to be there. But like I was so hard-headed. Hope Now is the first time that I heard the gospel. And because I grew up Catholic. I grew up, you know, going to church, holidays, Easter, Christmas, but it wasn't like, well, this is what you got to do, you know. This was like, oh, you got to read your Bible. It wasn't like that. It was just, like I said, it was just on holidays. And so I didn't know you could have a personal relationship with Christ. And so when I first came to Hope Now and you guys had the Bible study, that was the first time that I heard the gospel. And for some reason at that time it made sense to me a little bit on, okay, who Jesus was or who God was, who was his character. But I was still iffy about it. I wasn't really sure. I was just thinking like, oh, here's a no program with the whole Bible thing. And because I was told, like, when people come up to me, hey, do you believe in God? And I'll just say yeah, because I didn't really want to hear it. I just didn't know you could have a relationship with him. The first job that Hope Now gave me was ERI, Electronics Recyclers Internationals, and I held that job for about almost 7 years. And being at that job, you know, I learned how to be more interactive with other people. I learned how to, that's where all my job skills kind of build up right there. Like you said, because I was there for a good amount of years, I started getting close to the managers, the supervisors. Everybody knew who I was, so every position at that job was like, oh, Frankie can do it. So I was like constantly like moving to different positions because I basically knew how to work that warehouse, you know. Being there for 7 years, I mean, you learn a lot of new things. And so there was other jobs that I took too, and because of ERI though, because of that first job, that's what helped me build up my job skills and to go out and look for other jobs or look for better opportunities. And so I worked at Fresno Plumbing. I did that. I learned a lot right there. Like I said, working with the hand drills and all that. I did Chad's Trucking in Madera. Learned how to do a little bit of construction here and there. But I got all that from, you know, you Hope Now, but, you know, ERI as well too, like I said, because it helped me build up my job skills. I mean, before Hope Now, like, I didn't know, I never had a job. I never held out a job. My job was just going out and slanging. My job was to go and steal. My job was to, you know, take from other people, you know, getting that easy money. So Hope Now was the one that, like I said, really gave me that first opportunity to a new life and to a new chapter in my life. I'm pursuing my high school diploma, and I'm just showing my kids that, you know what, yeah, I made a mistake, I didn't finish school, but I'm not gonna give up. This is something I want to pursue, to show them like, hey, if Daddy can do it, I know you guys can do it. So after my high school diploma, I talked to my wife. I really was looking into going to getting a heating and cooling job, career and all that. I find that interesting because I tried to pursue it at one point, but when they had told me that I needed my high school diploma, that's when I tried to do that as well, but because the jobs were coming up, so I was taking the jobs. So after this high school diploma, once I get this over with, I'm looking into trying to get into the whole heating and cooling career and see how that goes. This is basically where doors are opening for me and where the Lord wants me at. Oh, it's a blessing, man. It's really been a blessing. Just being a part of something that God, you know, places me, because that's something I'm learning too. I'm learning how to be more obedient and open to God's calling instead of trying to pursue something that I feel that it's right to do, you know. And doing these life groups, it's been a blessing because it's great to be in a group where other people I can relate to and not just feel like, hey, I'm a leader, but I'm relating to you guys that I need you guys as well. You know, and I didn't have that because I looked at the wrong people. You know, I was looking to the homies, like if I'm feeling like, hey, I'm going through this, well, let's drink another beer. Let's spark a blunt up. And what these life groups are showing me that these other people are going through the same thing that I'm going through, but we're taking it to a different perspective. We're approaching it a different way, and that's through Jesus Christ, you know, and coming together as a body in Christ to share, you know, our strongholds and what we go through and how to, you know, overcome them. And so it's been a blessing to me and my wife. I also too, I teach the kids ministry right there as well.
Nice.
And so it's been a blessing. I love kids. And what I learned about that too, being at home with my kids, is the reason why I get to enjoy being with kids, because I could be a kid myself. You know, I love it because I just love being in the class and teaching the kids, you know, Jesus Christ, but also I get to be a kid as well, and to show them like, hey, you know, it's not all about like sticking your head into the Bible, but be yourself, and that's what I like. I like being a kid. I like, you know, goofing off and messing around, and it's been a great joy, you know. Like I said, you know, we've been going for about 2 years, and ever since then it's been a blessing. I could truly say it's Jesus. I mean, like you said, if I didn't have him in my life, I would have probably turned back to the alcohol. I would have turned into going back into smoking the weed and just finding the easy way out. And it's true what you said. I mean, when people think about coming to Christ, they think peaches and cream. They think it's going to be an easy road, and that's what I thought. And I thought if I truly believe in God and if I truly follow Jesus Christ, that my life's going to be easy. This road is going to be just so complete, you know, with you know, just things that are going to come. I mean, easy, but it gets hard, and it gets harder and harder. And I struggle at times because I'm human, you know. But I find my strength in Him, and He's got me through these times where, like you said, I lost my dad, I lost my mom at a close, you know, time, and because of Him, you know, I just kept my eyes focused on Him, and He was the only one that I had to rely on, and just be there for my family, especially my wife. I'm glad that the Lord put her in my life, and she's really been a big help to me. She's really there to push me and to keep me on track, because there's times where when my dad passed, and even my mom, I follow God. And why? You know, why'd you take him? Well, what purpose was that about? You know, I thought I was doing the Christian walk. Everything was supposed to be good, and my life was supposed to be blessed. Why'd you take him? And if it wasn't because of her, you know, pushing me and saying, no, there's a reason why God does things. And yeah, it took my mom's life, but when my mom passed, my sisters gave their life to Christ. And so when I look at it, God does really turn every bad situation for the good. And like I said, it took my mom's life, it took my dad's life, but it gave life now. It gave new life to my sisters who recently got baptized, to my cousin who got baptized at our church, that looked to us and say, hey, Frankie and Lydia, we want to get baptized. Hey, Frankie and Lydia, because of what you guys are doing, what we're seeing, you know, you guys are holding it together through all this time. And that's what we want, you know. And so, yeah, I may ask questions that, why God, why this, why that, and we might not know. And I'm not going to know maybe until I meet Him. But until then, I'm going to keep my faith in Him. And because it's living proof to see that for every bad situation, God will turn it into good. If I didn't find out by Hope Now, where my life, what it leaded me to was probably, you know, being locked up for life, who knows, or death, because I did experience a death experience where I did get jumped at one point. And when I look back at it, I knew that was Christ that gave me that second chance to get up and to push me to you know, get better, and to have a plan for me through Hope Now that gave me that chance, that took a sinful man like me and say, you know, we can work with this guy. And just like Paul said, you know, them going out my house, showing up and just keeping me accountable, and Hope Now did wonders in my life. And just to see this program and see all these other men coming in I mean, there is hope here. I couldn't have done it without them. Paul, Johnny, Sergio, Bryce, these men that just invested in my life, and not just say, hey, we're going to give you a job and go out about your way, but no, give me a job and still say, hey, Frankie, how are you doing? Is there anything else that we can do? Can we pray for you still? How's your family doing? Hey, I see you only, you guys need a vehicle, how can we help out right here? Just things to like be there and have that relationship with each other. And I look at these guys now, I don't look at them as like, my counselor, I look at them as like my brothers. These guys are my brothers, not just like, here on earth, but like my brothers in Christ. I see them as family. Hope is here at Hope Now, and these guys will really invest into your lives and build that relationship and continue to invest and show you that there's another way out and that Jesus is that way. If I can go back and tell my old self something, it would be, don't give up. I mean, there was plenty of times where I did want to give up, my old ways, because, like I said, I didn't see no hope in my household. The way my mom and dad were going, I really did want to give up. I really wanted just to quit everything. And at that time where I almost had that death experience, it was a time where I was like, okay, well, what do I gotta live for, And so if I could go back and tell my old self, like, hey, you know what? Don't give up. There is hope out there. There's hope out there. There's people out there that will help you out. Don't give up. Just keep going forward, and there'll be somebody there. So it was at a party. I had these two friends that were girls. They came to pick me up. It was me and some other homeboy. They were saying, hey, we're gonna go to this party in Danuba. So we ended up going over there, and it was all cool. It was all good, and we were all drinking, kicking back. It was maybe like 30 of them, and it was just us from Fresno. I don't know what happened or who said what. I guess somebody or my homeboy at the time said like the wrong thing, and they got offended, and they started calling us outsiders. And next thing you know, I'm getting beat on the floor. Next thing you know, I look at him, he's getting beat on the floor. There's two girls that we were with us, they are left. They supposedly said they went to the store. I just remember about 10 guys over me, out on the floor, beating me, kicking me, throwing rocks at me, hitting me with sticks. And I don't know how I had the strength to pull, and this was out in the field somewhere, but I don't know how I had the strength to pull myself out of that situation, go into the fields, and I remember falling onto the floor. And I remember laying there, and I remember hearing saying like, hey, let's go finish them off. And so when I heard that, I remember looking up, and I seen this branch sticking up, and I remember grabbing that branch and pulling myself up. And I got up, and I started walking through the fields, and I seen this road. And so when I got onto the road, I just seen this dark path. And I'm looking at these houses, and all the lights were off, boom, boom, until I seen this one house with the light on. And I remember going over there, knocking on the door, and I answered the door, and he was like, hey, what's going on? I go, hey, I need to get back to Fresno. And I remember he just told me, he goes, do you know where you're at? I go, like, I don't care where I'm at. I go, I just need to go back to Fresno. I remember him getting on the phone, calling the police, saying that, hey, I got this guy right here trying to burglarize my house. Within 5 minutes, the sheriff pulled up. He pulls up, and he looks, and he goes, oh, wow, like, this guy ain't trying to burglarize his house. He needs an ambulance. So he called the ambulance. Within 10 minutes, they showed up, got me, took me to the Reedy Hospital. And I remember the doctor over here, the doctor saying, like, if you didn't bring this guy within 10 minutes, he could have bled to death. I had head trauma. I was bleeding from my mouth, from my head, my nose. And that's when, like I said, I overheard the doctor saying within 10 minutes, if he didn't bring him, he could have bled to death. And so they fixed me up and everything. And I remember the officer that locked me up, arrested me, came in and said, hey, where were you trying to go? And I was like, I was trying to go back to Fresno. And he goes, what are you doing out here? I go, I just came out here just to party. And he goes, and at the time I had a warrant, so I was always giving out a fake name. And I remember him telling me, he was like, oh, so Francisco. And I was like, no, my name's Estefan. And he was like, no, it's Francisco. He goes, I have your parents out there, and they told me who you are. He goes, I'm gonna tell you something now. He goes, if I ever catch you over here, he goes, I see you have a warrant. He goes, I could take you in right now. He goes, but I seen you already got punished enough. And he goes, but if I ever see you over here, he goes, I will arrest you, and I will give a picture to every officer in this county that if they see you, they will arrest you. He goes, but I'm gonna let you go home. And when I look back at that moment, and I tell my wife, and I tell everybody too, when I look back when I was laying on that floor, nearly dying, trying to catch my breath, trying to get the strength to pick myself up, when I was on that floor and I seen that branch, I knew that was Christ. I knew that was Christ that put his hand out and said, your life's not over. I have a plan for you. Your life's not gonna end right here. And he gave me the strength to pull me, so he picked me up. And he put that house, the only house with the light on, the guy to answer that door, the cop to come within 5 minutes, the ambulance to come within 10 minutes, to get me at the hospital enough time till they can help me and save me from that death. And so like I said, when I look back, I knew that was Christ right there.